What's going on, mates? Teacher Manny here, and welcome to another episode of Life Podcast. Here we talk about Jesus, his life, his teaching, and of course his ministry. But the most important thing is to know who he is to us and to know who we are to him. This is Life Podcast. Today, in this podcast, we will be talking about Jesus and the rich young ruler. This account could be read from the book Luke chapter 18 verses 18 to 23 and Desire of Ages chapter 57. Now, majority of students who chose to go to college or university has one thing common in mind, and that is to have a successful, more comfortable life. Well, for some of us, it is about how one could make a lot of money, or probably finding the best job, maybe aiming for a higher position in that particular job, or probably the quest for, working less, stress-free, and staying young. Now, here in this story, we see a man who probably has everything one could ever desire. You see, he was rich, he was young, and had all the authority and power he needed. He was a ruler. His was a good life. What else could he ask for? Well, there was one thing, and this one thing the world could never offer him: eternal life. Why eternal life? Because this thing is certain, that all people down here, we die. And no matter how much you have attained in this life, death can take them all away. And this young man knew that. He asked the Lord, "Good teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?" And Jesus replied, "Do you know the commandments?" Wait. This young man was asking for salvation, eternal life. And Jesus introduced the commandments. Could it be that it is important to keep God's commandments for us to receive eternal life? For us to be saved? What do you think? We will talk about this in our next episode. Well, moving on, now Jesus here narrated the second half of the commandments. You see, there are 10 commands in God's holy law. The first half, commands 1 to 4, is about our relationship with God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me, and so forth. That's the first half of the 10 commandments. The second half of the commandments, commands 6 to 10, is about our relationship with one another. Jesus here mentioned all the second half to this young man, so it seemed. The reading from Luke chapter 18 verses 20 says, Jesus said, "Do not commit adultery, do not murder, do not steal, do not bear false witness, honor your father and mother. All these things I have kept from my youth." The young ruler replied, "Wait, this man was not just a rich young ruler. He was not just young, he was not just a ruler, but he was also a religious man." What did he say? He said, "All things have I kept." Mates, all things. Could he ever missed something when he said all things? Oftentimes it's easy for us to say things than for us to do things. Jesus answered, "You still lack one thing." Wow! Just one more thing, then eternal life. He needs just one thing so he could be saved. And oftentimes this one thing keeps us away from salvation. Just one thing. Just one command. I believe Jesus intentionally left this out when he narrated the second half of the commandments. The reason is he wanted to point out the need of this young man. And that command is, thou shalt not covet. You see, the root of covetousness is selfishness. And this was the very problem of this young man. He already has everything, but he wanted more. Jesus was addressing the problem of this young man and said, you know what? Sell and give all that you have to the poor, and you will have treasures in heaven. And come and follow me. Follow me. Remember our past lesson? Follow me is a call for discipleship. Jesus sees a potential disciple in this young fellow. But instead, after hearing what Jesus said, this young man went away very sorrowful. Well, not because he was not able to find what he was looking for in Jesus, that is salvation. No, salvation, eternal life, was offered to him right there. But the reason why he was very sad was because he was very, very rich and never wanted to give that up. Mate, is there something in your life that is keeping you away from receiving Jesus' salvation? Jesus is offering you salvation right now. Are you willing to surrender what you have and receive what He alone can offer you?